the affirmation crowd. You know those they tell themselves, "I will be a millionaire. I will be," and it's like if it's not structured throughout thinking, feeling, and willing, the affirmation is kind of a joke, brother. Right? Because we're looking at what how the soul expresses its inner structure in the outer world. That's what we want. That's what we want to see out of you. We're not just repeating something blindly, right? It's kind of like those guys who are like, "Oh, Zherka, I've been really focused reading 100 pages of this every day, and so yeah, my thinking is developing." And I'm like, "No, you're not, because you're not supposed to just point your finger and read it. You're supposed to let the thought become alive. That's what you're supposed to do, and that's not the tricky or the hard part. That's just something you're not you don't get in the habit of doing because it's not a habit, really, right? It's an you put enough attention into it, you run some images in your head of what you're reading, you explain what you're reading to yourself in a more symbolic way, you let Dragon Ball characters run around the thought, you let your childhood pour into and color what you're reading, so it becomes a little more cartoony, and over time it refines into a truth you can actually grasp. You can be like, whoa, this makes a lot more sense now. But if you don't have any living energy towards what you're reading, how the fuck is it ever going to stay alive in your memory? You know, unless you're looking with spiritual vision at the end of all your lives, unless you're doing that, it's useless to you, right? Like if you cannot recall what you read, then what the fuck did you really do? And a lot of people are like, dude, I wish I knew this when I was in high school and college. Zherka, if I had you, I'd have got straight A's. And no, you wouldn't. I can teach you how to think, but how will your thinking become alive if you don't have any interest towards the subject? The interest part is why you failed, right? It's like everyone who says, dude, if you went back to high school, you would get straight A's, Zherka, because of everything you know. And it's like, no, I wouldn't. Give me that fucking material right this second. And listen, the mastery of boredom, which is the final mastery stage, like the mastery of boredom, right? Humans never actually really bored. Boredom means mental illness, right? But the mastery of boredom, you have to ask yourself why it's the final stage of spiritual development for monk and monastic incarnations. You have to ask yourself, when is your turn for that? Why is boredom the final? Wait, can you guys hear me? Because I swear to God, I did a space once for an hour where they said I was muted for like 45 minutes of it. And instead of me rerunning it, I just turned the shit off, which is, I have to start seeing this more as a job too, because, I forget it's a job because I'm living and breathing this out of me, right? And this stuff tremendously helps you guys because there's one fucking idiot listening right now that's like, dude, when I read a book, I keep my finger on the page for 100 lines in a row and I don't remember shit. And it's like, dude, that's not how you have to live with the world. It's kind of like people who approach a relationship mechanically and all in their head, and they go, well, I don't know why the bitch cheated on me. It's like, bro, there's no feeling life to your relationship with her. It's just thinking. Like, what girl do you know that even thinks? And I know this is crazy to say, but bitches are fucking retarded, dude. Bitches are fucking retarded. And which is sad, not all of them, because if you think about it, we all know some women who are they're high paid accountants and they really develop their thinking, and they're unbearable to be around even to themselves, which is sad because those are the greatest types of humans. Like if you meet a woman that's an accountant, usually it's not a hoe. She's so orderly that she has her life in order, right? And these high thinking types, it's not that people can't be around them. You can find men for anyone, right? That's not a problem. It's more like she doesn't like the company or she gets agitated by it. And which is so sad because the women that think in society, they can't stand being around lower levels of consciousness. So they get shafted hard because, for a guy, when people say, well, a guy is lonely, it's like, yeah, but he'll deal with it. How, you know, a smart woman in society has to be the hardest incarnation you can go through because they're programmed to be social, but they're lonely because they don't want to hang around stupid people. And like I get comments all the time from people being like, "Oh, Zerka, if you're so this guy that I think you are, how the fuck can you surround yourself with dumb bitches?" And it's like, dude, I'm only better than you in every single facet of your life because I'm balanced. The most dangerous thing you could be is mastering your craft and isolating to the point where it damages your craft. Like, for example, if you're a swordsman, you're getting really good at swinging that sword, and you're fencing and all that. You're the best swordsman in the city. To go to the next level, so you can be the best in your country or the world even, it doesn't mean more training, believe it or not. That's like a huge lie. That's like, because dumb jocks who understand reality, they don't understand the tripart soul, they don't understand how the world even works. And it's sad because they focus on one thing. They always say hard work, hard work, hard work, but it's not hard work. The best swordsman that puts the most hours into his swordsmanship, he is the swordsman who puts in all of the hours, the most amount of hours, is not the number one swordsman on earth. Right? If you isolate in a mountain and go, shing, shang, shung, I'm the best swordsman. Look at me, man. I put in more hours than everyone on this call. I put in more hours than everyone in my village. I'm the best. He doesn't make it that far. Right? He's isolated on a mountain and that's it. That's all he knows. He knows a few combos. Right? It's actually the one that has the urge to isolate, put in all that time, but doesn't isolate and finds a new master or finds a new team that he probably, like, how many times have you found a new team of people that are so fucking annoying, but they're so effective for your goals? Like, for example, if you're in your young 20s, you want to get, you whether you want to admit it or not, you want bitches. And if you're around a group of people who have different masteries, then getting bitches, it's fucking impossible. You don't even see good game because you're too busy at the bar focusing on yourself and shit. But when you go out with a group of guys who like know what they're doing, you can see good game in your buddy and you could go, that's what that looks like. Actually, you know what? He looks a lot more confident than her just because his spine is straight. Yeah, actually, you know what? I don't keep my spine straight enough when I'm talking to these dumb bitches. And you notice something you haven't noticed before, and it ties into the self. You go, oh, damn, look at this. So, and to me, that was the hardest thing because in my life, my instincts always tell me to isolate and mastery. But then when you look at any time you're making serious progress, it's mastery plus participants, mastery plus other people, which I know a lot of people who think like me hate hearing this. I fucking hate it. Like when people say, yo, Zerka could be a billionaire if he was just more social, I believe them too. You don't have to conquer the outside world with a sword anymore. You have to do something much harder. You have to conquer your inner world so it can coexist with the external and be in harmony with what you came here to do. And the side effect of you failing that is you kill yourself. You literally, that's what suicide is realizing, oh, I'm not conquering the world in a phalanx operation with Roman soldiers and spears. I'm not doing the physical anymore, which back then, those humans didn't feel pain the way we do, by the way. I'm telling you right now, consciousness evolves. So when you think of like a great gladiator warrior, yeah, they didn't feel pain as much pain as you do when they fought a fucking tiger, you idiot. So when you realize this, you go, so does that mean that the newest incarnations are always the most brave? Yes. Does that mean that today's incarnations feel the most pain and fear? Yes. Does that mean that bravery today is 1,000 times more brave than bravery in ancient times? Yes. That's why we're always the fucking heroes. That's why living life is so hard, right? They ask a bunch of people, Zerka, how do I transcend, become a millionaire, do all this, and focus on my thinking and become a genius? And it's like, Your thinking develops when you have your feeling life in check, meaning probably a relationship, right? Even your work becomes more alive. The world becomes more conscious when you have that going for you. Then you look at your actions and your sporty life and athleticism. Even your athleticism increases when your feeling life is in check. These three soul forces have to be in harmony. But don't ever think that if you're isolating, it's not like rapid speed. Like I'm telling you right now, anything away from the bars and beers and that stupid shit in June is going to benefit you a lot unless you're lonely. Like, dude, you're supposed to balance that out somehow. And a lot of you guys ask me, they're like, Zherka, how do you balance it out? I don't. That's why I talk about it. People talk about shit all the time that's eating them, by the way. I don't balance my life. I do not have balance. I like to go for a couple weeks of party and then a couple months of mastery and a couple weeks of party. And I've always been like this. I've never wanted to change this. I benefit if I change it, but I don't want to. I look at how much money I'm making. I run it in my head. I could make even more if I did things this way, but I don't like, I'll tell you this, man. When you're doing good in life and you start shifting little pieces, I'm telling you, if one thing goes wrong, you're going to get really pissed off, right? So all my life, I wish I had someone who told me this, but the greatest advice in the universe is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it ain't growth, don't fix it. If every year you're not making a substantial amount of money that was more than the previous year, and I know people think, oh, you're in social media. That's why that works like that. You can only triple your money and do this shit because you're in social media. And it's like, no, dude. If you're in a LinkedIn kind of profession, the older you get has to be a more refined process of what you're selling already, right? And I always say, billionaires sell product. I wish I could sell product, right? But I feel like your soul dies with that too. Now, I'll one day do that. That's the real step up in your financial evolution. But it's not that important. But you really want to sell yourself in the world, right? Because you want to put all your chips on yourself. Because that's that one nigga that always talks to the mirror and goes, "Oh shit." There's this whole idea that someone can bail you out will make you really broke. Even if you're rich, you can be broke inside. You could be that guy at the yacht party that just cannot flirt with the chicks because he's not self-made. And then you're like, why can I? Why am I always stuck in this mode of I just can't do it, bro. I just can't do it. I can't enjoy the yacht party like the Myron, the Fresh, the Zherka, the whatever. Like, because their whole everything those guys do is around the self, which is the most beautiful way to live, by the way. Same with like a master swordsman or a blacksmith. It's like everything around him and what he wants to do. Now, I have met incarnations who they literally come up to me and say, I don't give a fuck about shoes, but I'm a shoe salesman. I made millions. I resell shoes. I don't give a fuck about shoes. I just like the money. How? I think those guys are the coldest people on earth. There's people you'll meet that can sell product they don't give a fuck about. Not that it's a scam or anything, but they're just not passionate about it. And I've never understood that. And it feels dark. Like these high functioning types that, hey, I'm going to take you from selling shoes to selling memberships. And they do good in that as well. To me, that's mind blowing. I could never teach a human being that. You know what reason means? Reason is not intellect. Reason comes from the German word risen, to rise with the Christ, where intellect becomes love. It does not mean this retarded shit that people think it means. It is to rise above stupid intellectual games, right? Intellectual is not a good word, by the way. There's a lot of dry intellectualism that can get you killed. By the way, a hyper intellectual person doesn't believe in courage. If you're one of those people, like a lot of people are like, Zherka, you're a thinking type like me. No, I'm not. Right? No, I'm not. When you guys say, yo, Zherka, you're just like me. No, I'm not. A highly intellectualized soul that's like focused on thinking does not believe courage is a real force in the universe. doesn't believe there's anything spiritual about courage. They just believe in, some people have lower impulse, higher impulse control, and some people are bred for this and bred for that. And it's like, dude, if you don't believe courage is a real eternal link towards the God force, if you don't believe in courage and sacrificing yourself for the greater good is a spiritual phenomena, like you ask scientists and they say a lot of stupid shit. And you got to ask yourself, why are we so captivated by invisible forces? Like courage is really invisible. Like where is it? Where do you see it? Does it last? Does it stay? Does it evolve? It is identical to the God question. Where is God? I can't see him. I just have 8 billion people on earth talking about him all the time. Isn't that enough proof, little boy? And it's like, and it's really sad because most humans, they actually confuse their higher self with God, that's how powerful you are becoming, that you can confuse that. And more intelligent people, or I'd say more balanced souls, confuse not their higher self, but their first guardian angel with God, which I can see how you can make that confusion, right? That gets stupid fast. It's much higher than that. And I'm telling you right now, think of why everyone argues of what a man is. Well, is this a man? Is that a man? And they all have contradictions. Like, is Andrew Tate a man when he has a camming website? And it's like, no, nobody wants to entertain that reality. Right? This guy a man with all his contradictions? Nah, he's kind of a joke. He's blah, blah, blah. And you got to ask yourself, this prototype of man of what we're becoming, what is it? What are we linking to? We're linking towards courage. We're linking towards things that are invisible to us, but they mean more to us than living on earth. And once you start seeing the world from this framework, you'll say, actually, Zherka, I do believe reality is a three-part trisoul. I don't just focus on scientific thinking. I'm going to try things your way. And it's like, dude, they've had this shit figured out. Well, I wouldn't say figured out because we evolved from it, but look at what Aristotle wrote or spoke about. Look at all the dialogues, look into them. It's only up until recently that we've heavily obsessed over thinking, and not the kind of thinking I'm talking about. Very different. Like how many these fucking Twitter accounts and YouTube accounts and all these like guru accounts, they don't have one system to explain reality. They're actually explaining everything they watched that week on algorithm mixed up, right? Like some of these idiots actually believe you are creating reality as you go and all this stupid shit and the world's not real. There's people who even try and convince people that you're the only one on earth and you're that special, and it's mumbo jumbo garbage, dude. And it's retarded as fuck. Right? Or it's like those people who ask me, well, Zherka, can you sum up your philosophy in one sentence? And it's like, that would be fun to do. That's funny, but I'm evolving. And a lot of you guys don't realize that it's like, we don't evolve through time marching forward. That's not what's happening. You're evolving through pain marching forward. You're marching through it, but it's marching through you too, right? That's why a lot of people are like, when you judge things on time, you haven't, look in your past, you haven't evolved much as a person just because time went on. Even though it is a factor, it's not really the transformative force. The transformative force is pain, right? Not that you should be like a masochist, and is that the right word? Not that you should, you know, be whipping your back and shit, like on some Da Vinci Code shit. But I'm telling you right now, this posture that I am whipping humans into shape. I'm getting these souls structured in a way that, oh, every time I face adversity, yes, I break down, but there's always one piece left of me, a little scaffolding. And then later it'll be one leg, right? With the knee showing. And then later it'll be like a steel frame with the hips. And then later with one arm, then a rib cage, then until you're standing with your whole body and flesh, and then you become light. And you're standing against these forces that keep knocking you down like waves that keep crashing into you, and you're turning into barnacles. You're breaking down and you're mixing in with matter. You're just turning into a swamp monster that's like falling apart. And it's like, dude, stand upright even when you're being obliterated by Exodia. I'm telling you, no matter how many times you get hit, keep standing up. This reaffirms your soul posture. And one day, when the tragedies hit you, you're going to notice your foot move. You're going to get hit hard. And instead of falling to your knees and breaking into pieces, you're going to notice not only did you withstand it and it cracked you, but you're standing upright. Maybe your knees buckled, but you're standing, taking it. And this time, for the first time in your life, it's not just you absorbing the shock, it's your foot can move. So move, nigga, and take your shot back into the universe. Go right forward into that energy. And you're going to be like, oh, this is me entering higher levels of free will. I'm not frozen in matter. I just moved an inch after a big tidal wave. And you go to the beach, go to the swimming pool, go wherever the fuck you need, go to the lake. Well, there's no waves at the lake. And you'll feel that as many times as it takes, eventually you'll find your posture with the waves hitting you. This is the first most important step into living, breathing in this evolution. When you are, I would say, look at Zherka 25 to 29, 30 years old, you see an obsessive human being. Like, dude, I'm the only one in my high school who made it this far. Everyone else is broke nigga shit compared to me. And even the guys who try to get close, they bought so many liabilities, and like they didn't have brothers, I guess, they don't know what to do with their money, that they're still in trouble, right? Whereas my brothers don't allow me to ever become like those poker playing fucking weirdos. Like my brothers pretty much force my financial world, my ecosystem, they force it to be normal, which is so weird because if you look at me, you go, whoa, that guy's kind of chaotic. There's no way his financial life is in order. And it's like, I'm not doing it. I use the incarnations around me. I didn't join Earth with my brothers to not use them like you fucking idiots. There's so many of you who don't use what your sister is good at. And she's like offering you help and you just ignore it because of some what. Dude, they are there. You are not supposed to do it all alone. Drake doesn't write his own lyrics. We know you want to be at the top, use the forces around you, which it's so hard in your 20s because for some reason you get embarrassed. I was always embarrassed to get my brothers involved in my life because I'm like, well, no one else does this. No, they do. Every human on earth. I think Heel Mike's mom does all of his finances, and every streamer I know, it's their mom or someone close to them, which is hard. You're burdening someone else with that and stuff. But if you're a chaotic force in nature, do not suppress your chaos and slow down like an idiot. But do not allow your chaos to reflect in your financial life either. Like, I'm telling you right now, when I say Sneeko should have Nick around just so Sneeko's more smart in the world, you're supposed to use Nick. You know, he's a smart guy. You're supposed to absorb lessons from him. If someone's more smart than you, you're supposed to absorb that shit, right? For in your 20s, I don't know what it is, but a lot of you guys are going to have this idea that, oh, I got a few more years and then I'm not planning ahead. I'm young. Who gives a fuck? And it's like, no. If in your head you say, okay, I'm going to be dealing with this bank account for 50 years. I got to think long term. That's soul continuity. If you're dating a girl, you're like, oh, I might marry her and spend the rest of my life with her. That's soul continuity. But for some reason in your 20s, you cannot see the future with the girl, a banking future with the same bank, even. You can, nothing, none of that shit, right? For some reason, you think it's all going to end in a couple years, so fuck it. Anything that's away from soul continuity is unhealthy for you, which I know no one wants to hear it. Like if you told a 20-year-old Zerka, hey, there's no, you're not thinking of soul continuity when you're killing your liver, I'd have been like, fuck you, fuck my liver, fuck this nigger liver. I fucking hate this shit. I don't give a fuck. I'm doing it my way, right? And then later you're like, ouch, my liver hurts. What is going on? And it's always at the peak of your life. You're like with the most beautiful chick on earth, and you're chilling with her at the beach, and you're just walking the beach at like fucking the sunset or whatever, and it's fucking beautiful. And then as she's talking, you feel this inward pain, like your organs are saying, "Die." And you're like, holy shit, I'm dying as soon as life got good. That's so fucking comedic. Like, isn't that funny? Right? And most of you guys are not going to be lucky like me to get perfect blood work over and over and over again after you heal. Most of you guys are going to heal with some kind of disease or you're going to be dying from the inside. You know how many of my buddies healed and their healing is like they're pissing blood now? What the? I'm feeling better, but yeah, I'm pissing blood. It's like, dude, you know? And the only difference from them and me, I swear to God, is spirit. Like every classmate I ever had, they'd always look at me in the back of the classroom and they'd be like, the only thing that makes this John guy weird is that he talks about weird shit like that. He's like, he's thinking of other worlds in classroom. And I'm like, dude, I beat you all in your own game, which is being a civilian. You know, being a civilian is like maxing out those kind of stats for a good life. And then you find out there's no such thing as a good life. You find out there's only mastery, right? Because mastery forces adventure, right? If you master E equals MC squared, the whole world starts to fuck with you and they force adventure upon your soul, right? Which can be a lot for a lot of people because mastery comes in with a lot of isolation too. So when the whole world starts fucking you, you go, I'm not used to this, dude. I like being alone. Like I like being. That's why I think there's never been a better time to incarnate because you can you can access the adventure world all you want, but you can also take a step back away from it and you don't have to answer calls. You know, make money on your own. You have a phone. You have an iPhone. You can do it, right? Like the greatest thing a young man could do is get fluent in AI, not building AI. I'm talking about just like talking to AI about something they're mastering and going to only the parts they're interested in, right? And that usually bleeds down into other parts of it and connect it to your world so everything becomes alive. You can even use figures like Goku, Vegeta, or whatever it is, Sonic the Hedgehog, or whatever is makes things more alive or connected to a childhood spirit and start posting away. You know, post the people are gonna fuck with your notes. You're gonna get clout. You're gonna get numbers. You're gonna go far. You're not gonna half-ass it like me. You'll go all the way with that shit, right? And I'm telling you, that what did Andrew Tate call it? Building up a social media addiction is money. It is. It really is. But for me, it's more than that. It's like this idea that you guys are not getting paid by the one thing you should write down on your little gay board at home is that you are not getting paid to be on social media. Like that's the one thing that has to change. I don't mean by paid by dollars. I'm talking about you could get paid in likes too, right? So as your likes build, you realize the trajectory of how many people you're helping, right? Usually it's always the thing that helps you most that helps the world most. It's so weird like that. You know, like if I focused more on feeling, I don't think I'd go that far. If I focused more on thinking and explaining that to my students, that tremendously saves lives. But if I would focus more on feeling or willing or other things like that, it would be a little different, right? Because there's way more interest in like, is there anything more badass than a powerful thinker that has a self mastery and they look better at in their old age than they do in their young age. Like they just look like they got everything figured out. And by the time you get your universe figured out, it's only your universe. It's not the universe, right? But the more you figure out your day and how it functions, the more the world will make sense to you and you participate with the world in co-creation, right? And it's a beautiful thing. You walk into any arena and you think something's supposed to happen. That's usually when you get fucked up, right? Nothing's supposed to happen, bro. Your inner structure should be solid when you walk into that bar. Your inner structure should be solid when you're studying. achieving mastery in your field. And by the way, every day of your life should be you sparking those rocks till that flame of consciousness bursts, your thinking is alive, and then you can go out into the world. Meaning every day is a spiritual experience, a big one too. You know, sometimes it slowly starts up, but eventually it becomes into I can't live without this. If you just fuck with technology and social media right from the get-go when you wake up, that is, dude, if you get that first hour in your day right, everything else is manageable. But if that first hour is based on you're compelled by impulse and desires and all this stupid shit, you cannot, like, for example, one day out of the whole week will always be a day you're scattered. You just cannot get it together. And you're like, dude, I did 6 days of concentration in a row. But a human being can never go a full week without having a bad day where everything is fucked up. And that just shows that your soul is off balance. That's why my best students, they'd be like, okay, what do I do that day? I'm like, go swimming for 4 hours. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, go swimming for 4 hours, right? Don't fight that. And they'll always be like, dude, I came back from swimming and I was so clear and I fucking did 4 more hours of studying, but it felt like 1,000 years of studying and I got so much shit done. And it's like, feed your tripart soul. Stop. Look, the world should be seen as a trinity to you, man. Right? It's not hocus pocus. It's actually there for you. Okay? Don't don't force it. Everyone's like, oh, I only follow you because you remind me to stay on the righteous path. Like this I keep getting reminded to go back to the center. And it's like, yeah, but sometimes the center is your feeling life. Sometimes the center is, your sports life. So don't confuse that, right? And I guess the best thing I would want for everyone who follows me is if if someone resonates with the Zherka message a lot, usually they can copy and they enjoy copying me. Like there's a lot of guys who like traveling, but they didn't start until I forced them into it. I'm like, hey, do what I'm doing. Hey, you can take your job on the go on the phone, do what I'm doing. You can do conference calls from somewhere else, right? And then they go, oh, this is a lot better. I'm a lot more productive, a lot more money. And I'm like, yes, because your nature is travel. You're a nomad, right? Like some of you get rock hard thinking of a hotel suite. Like, what is up with that? Like, I remember when I was young, they'd always ask me why you want to be famous. And everyone would say for bitches, for money. And I'd always say, just so I'm never home, right? That I can, and that doesn't mean it's a party. Like, I mean, I could go to somewhere where it's snowing, so long as it's not my home, right? It's good, right? Even if I'm treating it like a home, like nobody's allowed in my hotel for 30 days in a row and I'm just working through it, even if I'm treating it like a home, just the idea that I'm absorbing other thought forms in a different country, I will never tweet something unless in my core structure, it structures my face in a beautiful way, you know, and it must be aligned with the truth. Get away from the trolling a bit, but the world has a way of getting faster when you get older. For some of you guys in your 20s would be like, well, I don't really see it, but the older you get, the faster it goes. And which is kind of also a beautiful thing because you look at it like I get to meet my maker, right? Which is funny because technically you are your own maker, but you've already been created. You're doing the rest of the evolutionary process if you haven't realized, right? Only way you should see it is the only times good things happen to you is from grace, right? But here's the thing: you don't actually deserve that grace because look at the kind of life form you are right now and what you're supposed to be. Like you got a long way to go, motherfucker. Like a long way. And I'm telling you right now, the one thing everyone always talks about in this game is time wasted. I don't really believe in time wasted. I believe in how much of your time was your thinking alive. I'll only judge you for that because everything else is like, you're fading into the background, really. But the times your thinking is alive, I'll judge that as those are the only parts of your day you're human. For some of you, 5 minutes. For successful people, might be an hour. For billionaires, it might be 8 hours, which is that level of focus means they're away from their friends, family, everyone. They're just fucking locked in. And if they're smart, they balance it with a bit of family time at the end of the night, right? Which actually opens you up to blessings, right? Loving energy before bed. But most of you just go to bed fucked up in anger, like little faggots. Can't stand that, bro. I see your comments. All right, let's go over some of these tweets, okay? Before I gotta get out of here. And this. I'm gifting you this spaces. Add scripture to a sinful life, and even if you are sinning your ass off, your inner structure will change. Why the fuck did I mess up that? There's supposed to be a comma there. See, I'm rushing today. You could tell that I'm rushing, bro. This is not good. This is not good at all. Right? We're losing precision and accuracy. But really, what are we saying here? Obviously, if you're not into the Christian mysteries, don't force it. Like a lot of Christians say, oh, you can force it a bit. And it's like, no, if you're not into religion, do everything else besides the religious part. Okay. Because forcing it can make you really hate it. I think young Don went through that. Now he's like some really left-wing dude on the internet. And it's like he forced Christianity and the version he got was not real Christianity. It was whatever the fuck away from the tripart soul. He got something else. And I think he said something like he went all feelings based. Yeah, I want to be imparted wisdom. And it's like, dude, you know who gets imparted wisdom? People who are suffering or people who have had their thinking alive for decades. The kind of gnosis you want takes a big flame. Okay. Because once you're transformed, you can do serious damage in the world. There's a lot of people who are like, oh, the higher worlds aren't going to open up to me because I'm a bad person. No, you can be easily be a dark magician, dark magic attack. You can easily go forward and fuck up the world with your evolution. Because remember, a lot of times you're thinking, oh, this is good for the world. What I'm doing is good. Like most dark magicians do believe that. And then there's a little psychotic group that is just twisted. But in the very end, everyone has to be forgiven. Why not do it today? Question mark. What I'm really saying with this is think of you as that guy who made $50 million. How many grudges are you actually holding on that day? Right? Like think of how many you'd probably say, man, you would laugh if you saw your enemy that day. I swear to God, you'd laugh. You'd be like, oh yeah, this guy. That's your higher nature. You must align with that. Even though it's gradually going to change your inner structure, you got to start with that. Okay. Eventually, like water on stone, your rocky formation will get smooth and change into something more beautiful. In order to understand the world, you must sometimes turn away from it. This is that isolation, man, that unless you're suffering from being isolated, which I really don't recommend, that's not normal at all. And souls are meant to be around each other, right? But if you're not, isolation brings mastery. Isolation brings premature mastery. But it's also June, so make sure you're doing summertime shit too. You have an earthly part of you that has to be satisfied too, or he will rape your life. He could even block you from thinking. He could block you from thinking all summer just because you're not doing your earthly deeds of finding that girl at the bar, whatever the fuck you young people talk about, right? Just wait till you're at this age and you have numbers to just call. That's going to be a little more comfortable. Which you can't abuse that, by the way. That means you have to really get into your study, really exert yourself, and then use your phone calls to relax, right? Life gets really expensive if you are constantly moving upwards. This is very facts, man. This is, dude, I'm telling you right now. I'm talking about even tragedies and shit you gotta pay for, be the man. You gotta step up and do certain things. Dude, Get your thinking alive and make sure it reflects your career. Okay. There's probably 0.001% of you who can work on their thinking without focusing on making ends meet. But I seriously doubt I want to encourage any of that behavior. Let's go to time is the wisest of all things, for it brings everything to light. Dailies, which means calm the fuck down. Everything you're waiting for is coming to you. Some of it in a distorted way, some of it even in a backwards way that moves your evolution forward, although your world looks like it's going backwards. But all time is doing is unfolding you. So just ride the wave, man. Ride the wave. Don't fight the wave like Sneeko. Ride the wave. Looking, if you guys look into Dr. Steiner's work, the reason why Kanye and artists, music, even painters throughout history, the reason why they're so popular, get paid so much attention and energy, and they change the world with their beauty. Do you know what the real reason is? Is because when art is done in the right way, in a Da Vinci level way, it liberates spirits that are trapped in matter. They go upwards into higher levels of consciousness. That's why the artist is rewarded more than anyone in society. And I had no idea because I was like, oh, it's just invisible. This is just invisible forces. But there's spirits that are not human that can't breathe, trapped in matter. They want help up, and only a Beethoven symphony can lift them. No one else intervenes. God doesn't know, but we help each other throughout that evolution, and we get grace from the Lord. But really, we're supposed to liberate every part of society, even the invisible parts that we can't see. And that blows me away that I'm like, whoa, there's more than just animals, plants, and minerals. There's just we're the crown of creation. There's more to it than that, and that's why if you ever give a really motivational speech, you gain 100 million followers. The whole world wants to be your dick riding little bitch. But
Oh,
why? Why is because you've liberated mankind's soul. The greatest black pill on earth is finding out, and everyone forgets about this. Jordan Peterson's whole career, like you think, oh, I can't be a good public speaker like him. He was on Xanax more than rappers. He was on more Xanax than rappers. So if you're ever thinking, bro, my life sucks, I can't do anything, I can't public speak, just remember your biggest hero, he didn't have a Coke run like an idiot. He had a Xanax run that took him to $150 billion. That's why when people say drugs are never the answer, he made 150 million with his little fucking Xanax thing. Yeah, he paid the ultimate price. But if you really think about it, it's like, dude, your heroes are cheating on drugs, and you want to sit down and tell us, actually, this is the sober Olympics. It's like that shit pisses me off so much because I'm like, Jordan, how many of those performances, in front of everyone, would you have given without Xanax? He said he couldn't even get out of bed. And I'm not pro drugs. I'm just saying that everyone who beat you and made $100 million, it seems like they cheated. It's like Frank Sinatra cheated. Everyone you look up to in history cheated, and that sometimes you're working, concentrating, and you're like, wait a minute, my hero is cheating. Everyone's cheating when you look at it. It's like when you find a great writer in history, you're like, man, fuck the Harry Potter shit. Like, who's a good writer? I can't think of someone, but let's
T.S.
say.
Eliot.
Yeah, who I bet you anything, every night he's drinking scotch, writing that shit. And that's what I hate about reality is when you find out your heroes are using alchemical enhancements, and it pisses. Or like, have you ever seen those rappers that make great art when they're fucked up on drugs, and then you go, what the fuck? Like, clearly they're tools, but they get demonic quick because then you could get hooked, right? If you can mix prayer with real medicine, that's when the patient heals. That's the highest level of medicine. And Paracelsus talked about this, and all the greats talked about, all the greatest physicians, and they said if they're open to the treatment and they believe you love them and want to heal them, and you give them the medicine, the matter, that's ultimately what heals a human. It's a tripart thing. It's not just medicine, like, oh, take this needle. And I'm like, dude, humans need to start thinking like this, that this is the future will be drugs and peptides. You don't want to tell an obese lady to pray to Jesus for her heart virus to go away. You want her on the treadmill with a bit of work ethic, with the Holy Spirit, with some faith, but you also want to give her the peptides, right? That's matter. And you also want her to pray for the weight to go down. That is how you get a successful incarnation on earth. And that's really what we're here for. Dogs can't pray, animals can't pray. We can pray. So don't ever forget that how important that is. And man, it's just we piss away our whole lives thinking it's one or the other when it's all three forms: spirit, soul, and matter. If you ever look at the immature souls who go further, you should never say, oh, he has it better. No, no, no. At the end of the day, it's not about the money. That's just a byproduct. It's that you're maturing, right? That eventually you're going to be like an Alex Jones dad kind of person in life, a father figure. You don't want to be a 40-year-old Minecraft player with $1 million, even though it's $1 million. You don't want that. Then your bitch is like hopping on other niggas and shit. Like, you don't want that at all, bro. I hear some horror stories, and it's all because they avoid the inner development. Now, when I look at the world, what I'm seeing is, holy shit, is there a shit ton of fucking money? It's June, bro. There's a shit ton of money, and you don't even chase it anymore. It just kind of magnetizes to you. It just, like, right now, I think this is the only time in history you could you could have $0 and really pop off still, right? I remember having $0 multiple times in my incarnation, and there would always be new donations and gifters and people who want to fund my projects because they're like, we like your ideas. And a lot of times I wouldn't take the money because I'd be like, you know what? Let me just build up my momentum first. I'm not going to ask for handouts. But a lot of people can grab handouts and build projects. That's the most shocking thing to me. I still remember the first time I got shocked. I was like, bro, I can't stream today, guys. I got to go back to the club because they keep banning my Twitch. And I don't know how long I'll be banned, but so I don't want to be, caught with my pants down. So I'm going to go back to the club and work. And then they unbanned my account. I'm like, oh, this is great, but I probably should still take those shifts just in case it's like a mistake or they kept fucking with my account. And then it was Garam just sends me $5,000 and he goes, just go buy a fucking new phone and give us some streams. And I messaged the guy. I'm like, what the fuck? And back then I was like, what the hell? You could just send someone 5,000 fucking bucks. Uh, and it's a write-off for that guy. Like, he benefits off giving it to me. So I was shocked the world even worked like that. Like, as a security guard, to see that kind of shit, I was like, what the fuck? And and then he sent another 5,000. His buddy came, say less, and then he dropped 5,000, 5,000, 5,000. It was like 20 racks. And I was just sitting there in my bedroom, and I'm like, for what? What is 20 racks for? You got to know that the way I live life, 20 racks is like 20 million back then to me. Right? The way I wasn't spending on shit. It looked like I was spending, but I just had buddies in high places who would take me to nice shit and they'd use my skill sets. Like, I'd pay them back somehow, like get the bitches there and all that. And that blew me away. I was like, what the fuck? Then later it got even more intense with the donation saga of my life. It got so intense that I got ashamed of it. I was like, I'd rather sell something really powerful than take on donations. But it was cool that I ended it as like the king of donations. I think it was like the highest donated person on fucking Twitch for those 4 months. And And I don't mean like the highest by a bit. Like, I was number one. There was no number two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. They didn't exist. And back in those days, you'd see like a 300 viewer e-girl make a shit ton from donos, and a 2,000 viewer male make less, even though he'd had the sponsors and all that. It was like freak. So I was like the only one taking it like an e-girl. Like, I was fucking going through the donation, path. And I just remember I was like, okay, the mastery of luck happens right here. Because I'm really lonely. I'm really alone. I'm still not going to my friends. I'm focusing on my shit. And it just, the universe has a way of, certain souls just get attracted to you and they say, hey, this guy needs a break right now. He's not going to nightclub to work. He needs donos. And it was strange to me because that's never been me, dude. Like, I've never in my 25 years on earth ever been the lucky guy financially. I was always on the opposite side of things. I think I always had 1,000 to either 1,000 or $5 in my account, always. Like, never higher, never lower. And when I did make like big money under the table shit, it would always be gone quick. And yeah, I never, 20 to 25 years old, I never felt like I had more than $5 to spend to my name. So, and you don't know, 20 to 25 is like, I don't think there's been a person on earth more poor than me at that time. Even though I was going to the parties and getting invited to nice shit and it didn't feel like it aesthetically, inwardly at a party when I talk to someone, they wouldn't know what I'm thinking, but all I'd be thinking of is, dude, I'm worth $5. I can't even take her out for Fritz and French fries. Like, I can't. What the fuck? And it was weird. Never in debt, but always at that zero. Never. I'd go in debt for a bit and come out of it right away, but it was never like that. But it was always like, and I was that guy who missed out on a shit ton of parties just so I don't go in debt. So I was like, for some reason, staying at zero made me feel like powerful. Like, oh, because I'm raised to think debt is a loser. I still think that, that any form of debt is just anger, pure anger. And that's not going to help you either, that type of anger, right? Just frustration kind of anger. But yeah, it's like, now I'm known for the opposite. Like, everything I'm known for on the internet is, if I'm not doing nothing for years and getting a shit ton of money for it, I'm on Twitch working kind of my ass off, but I'm laughing really, and the highest donated streamer. And it's so, when you look at it, even before these years of success, there's years on Twitch of success. That blows me away because I never brag about the Twitch days at all. Zero. I don't even think about, just completely forgot those blessings, right? But when I look at it, I'm like, whoa, dude, new people who listen to me must think, oh, he's just a guy, he's just a money magnet. He's just lucky. He's one of those guys that doesn't have to do shit. And I'm like, no, no, no. 20 to 25, I was worth $5. No human on earth is that poor at that age. And if they are, they're getting a degree or doing something. So 20 to 25, the bodybuilding, security, and party phase, all three of those phases, extremely poor. Like, and it's more poor than being poor because you're going to nice parties being reminded how far away you are from the goal, right? And it was like, I would hide it too. Not because like I was ashamed like that, but more like I don't want someone paying for me. I don't want that fucking cock feeling. I don't want to be lowered in my psyche. Um, but it's interesting that it's like, from everyone listening right now, none of you were as poor as me from 20 years old to 25. And if you were, you were probably getting a degree, you were probably doing something with your life, or you probably had job opportunities elsewhere that wasn't like a night job or whatever, right? You're not fighting against urinals and stupid shit like that. So when I look at it, I'm like, those 5 years of extreme darkness and bad luck completely flip on their head for 5 straight years of extreme golden luck, like the top of the top of the top of the less than 1%, to the next couple of years that spill over to what I'm doing right now. And to me, I'm like, oh, I thought the karmic balancing would be 5 years bad, or excuse me, 5 years worse than anyone listening right now, all 20,000 of you. 5 years of horrific, 5 years of good. I thought it would be like that. 5 years, 5 years. But no, it's not. It's 5 years horrific. Once you go back into the good, it's good for life. I'm telling you, yeah, I did go broke a few times, but I would still just work more hours on Twitch and make it back. But it was never broke like, oh shit, there's no way to eat bread for the next few weeks. Like, I'm fucked. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, this idea, a lot of people think the karmic because you're going to be karmically balanced for your feeling life and relationships. It's not just finance. But when you see the finance thing, it's like there is a involution, evolution period to your life where you go down and back up. And once you're up, it's up for life. The other problems are going to be relationships, athletic problems, and maybe you get your arm broken or shit like that. It's going to be a million different problems away from finance. And I'm talking about if you're getting orderly, if you're headed towards order, right? Psychic order. But you need chaos to eventually go towards order. But I'm telling you guys right now, never stop talking about passing that gate, right? Unless I've had 3 years in a row right now that were horrific, right? Then obviously I would say, guys, it's not about the money. It's like I would be coping hard, right? I would turn into that. But I'm telling you right now, that gate fades with every time you're hanging out with your buddy smoking a joint. You know, it's like out of 4,000 students in my school, it was just me. Those those guys all finished college and uni. What fucking losers, dude. Imagine paying all that for they finished college and uni. And there's a lot of guys who are like, man, Zherka, it's hard for me to feel motivated because at 23, everything's going horrific for me. And I'm like, dude, it starts at 25. Something in your mind will switch when you turn 25 years old. I know it's different for everyone, but me and my brother at 20, we drifted apart a bit. And at 25, we just came back and said, hey, hey, I'm kind of a loser. And he's like, yeah, me too. I'm like, how? You know, you're a scholar and I'm a this. And but we were distracted with a bunch of women and partying and all this kind of, all that. And we're not even hardcore partying. He wasn't even doing that much, but just enough to become a lower level civilian, I guess. And then, for some people it switches. Some people have a switch at 21. Usually it's more dry, boring type. But for me, it was 25. The day I turned 25, it was, I couldn't look my friends in the eyes. Even on FaceTime, I could not answer calls. I was like, I was on do not disturb. My phone was set on do not disturb for the next 6 years straight. I didn't have one FaceTime call for 6 years. You know those calls where a buddy calls you and they make you laugh and you feel warm, like someone actually remembered to call you? No one, because as soon as you're a little antisocial, people forget about you. So in the beginning, first week, he's like, Zherka, where you at here? And then it's like, nobody calls because they're like, oh, he's been on Do Not Disturb for a couple of years and turned to 6 years fast. And, I talked to my brother, he's a therapist and stuff. He's like, no human has ever done that. And I'm not encouraging this behavior. I'm just saying I suffered more than you guys. You guys took the text messages, took the calls, and a lot of you guys are thinking, oh, well, you're distracted by a girlfriend. And nope, no girl, no, completely alone. Zero. I said I'll answer a text message when my notifications are full. Right now I'm at 2 notifications. And I didn't use iMessage, not even check what they texted me, nothing for anybody, zero people in my life for 6 years, unless it's like a family thing, right? And the family call, but I'm talking about friends and all that. And as soon as my notifications were full and I was famous, immediately I responded to everyone. And I'm talking about it was a humiliation ritual for me because everyone said, dude, you answered me 6 years later. I'm like, I had to do that shit, man. Well, why didn't you do it at 25 years old when you popped off? Why a couple of years after that? Because in my head, that's not popping off. That's not to me is well. Why didn't you do it when you have $500,000? That's not popping off, and that's not what I went for. Is that it had to look perfect in my head before I went back to that world, and they were all eating bagels, having brunch with Hell's Angels and gangsters. I went back to them, and I'm like, oh, you guys are doing the same old shit. Oh, so that whole period that I suffered alone, it's kind of based. I crunched my time. Most people really get their shit going at like 35 years old. To get everything done at 25 is fucking ridiculous. Like it's awesome. It's beauty 10 years early. And a lot of people don't realize that well, you should never look at time as a factor. Because, like, for example, let's say you hit the lottery today. See, time doesn't matter. You'd be changed person in one day. Right? Same if you popped off in a day, you'd be changed in a day. Even though you see all the extra money in a couple of weeks or months or whatever, you can kind of you, you relax when you go, oh, it happened. And out of 4,000 students in my high school, it's like none of them popped, not one of them popped off. The next person who made a shit ton of money is my twin brother. That blew me the fuck away. That blew me the fuck away, man. Like, I cannot sit down with people from my high school because it's such a different world they're in. It's like they can see I'm looking through them like, dude, you're dead inside. Everything as children we talked about, you didn't do. Nothing. Bro, I grew up with you as kids, as teenagers. You did nothing. You said you're going to do all this. You did none of it. But tell me about those parties you went to that I didn't. Tell me about those FaceTimes you got that I didn't. Tell me about all that friendship stuff. And you know what's weird? Your nature changes so much after that. Because I Googled this. I asked a million people, what's the longest you've been on Do Not Disturb? And every answer I got was a week. Whether successful or poor, everyone gave me the same answer. They're like, my phone's been on Do Not Disturb the longest a week. I had to lock in. I was like, damn, I was alone for 6 years. 7, 8, 9. I don't count the years that I'm enjoying being alone, which is 7, 8, 9, and all that. I only count the 6 that hurt. And you don't realize it hurts until you go, oh, there's my nature. My soul structure shifted so much that I cannot, my main phone cannot receive messages from the world without me getting spooked. Like, what the fuck is this? Right? For me, if I'm interacting with the world, it's only social media. It cannot be iMessage or private life. None of that shit. That's why this call feels so intimate. Like you guys are like, oh, it kind of sounds like he's just chilling there, talking to me in person. It's because this is what I replace. I replaced the world. It's like my personal life is this right now. This is what you're listening to is my personal life. That's why I'm actually really good at it. I think it comes off organic. But I'm telling you right now, being on Do Not Disturb with no girlfriend, no friends for 6 years and never, this is my first time mentioning it in depth, but I don't mention it because it's like, if I promote this, someone will copy me and kill themselves. I don't want to promote that, right? And I don't think that I was strong enough to do it on my own. I think family helps. Like when you have a brother to talk to, that really helped me. Imagine completely alone, no brother. I would still phone call my brother and just rant. I'd be like, it's been 3 years. I haven't talked to anyone. And he'd be like, okay, well, what's the goal? Like, what are you working for? And, it was really off balance. But man, imagine I played it the other way. Because I'm not like some of you. Some of you can hang out with your buddies and nothing bad happens. For me, if I hang out with my buddies, I get absorbed into retard. Like, when I see 7 retards, I go, I bet I can beat them. Oh, there's 7 retards drinking beer. I am the most retarded, not you. Like there's this competitive spirit I have with, oh what? Oh what? You're picking a fight with a crackhead with a giant knife? No, I'm picking that fight. There's like this competitive spirit that imagine my spirit only went towards business. I would be a fucking trillionaire. But it's in any environment, especially it's like hey, you can die here. I get competitive. I'm the first one to get killed. I'm the first one. I don't know what the fuck that. I think it all comes from suppression. That is the theory, right? I mean, that's not a theory. That's a fact. All of that comes from being repressed. I'm talking about even before 25 years old, right? Because I think I'm the only suppressed human that went back into deeper suppression, and it's dumb. It's like I could have been evolving with my city more, right? They were all, some of them were digitizing too in the nightclubs and stuff. I could have done content with them. And I chose this isolation path because I can't do what you guys do. Some of you guys can actually just go to a movie theater and then just stop thinking about your homies. If I go to a movie theater with my buddies, they affect my mind. Like I literally come home and I go, get out of my head. Do you guys are like, I think of one stupid racist joke my buddy says for like 4 hours. It turns into, I can easily turn into jester meme version of myself and stay like that for a long time. And then I have to really, but if I'm concentrated, dude, nothing breaks my concentration. I go watch a 2 hour meme movie. Oh, dude, I'm like, oh, we're memeing. I'm the best meme lord. Now I enter. It's not always a competition, but for my psyche, it is, and that's why it's dangerous. If you have this hyper ADHD brain that is good when it's concentrated, but it's bad when it's scattered. If you're anything like me, dude, choose different maps. Choose different maps for yourself, and if I could go back in time, one thing I would do different is just start a bit earlier. Although I wouldn't do anything different because I feel like I'm the only internet person. I'm the only internet avatar that got everything he wanted out of this shit. And I'm talking about right now. It's like ongoing. It's like ever flowing. And because you got to remember, I'm also lazy to do all the hoopla entertainment shit. I don't like doing that. Like I don't. You think you like doing that until you're doing it. And you're like, oh, bro, it's like thousands of people saying, hey, John, can I talk to you? Like it's like 1,000 little nephews poking at you, and you're like, oh, shit's fuck. Kudos to people like Sneeko who can do it and shit, but it's like, yikes. Yeah, you can even see at the end of Nick's shows when he's just getting exhausted with the question. It's like one of those things. So that's why I feel like blessed. I feel more blessed than any human on earth because of the minimal amount of work I have to do to get the same return in energy, right? That I can, like in 10 years, I'm literally on paper a financial god, not an elite, not a Wall Street, god level, like set. And I'm looking at like worst case scenario for the least amount for more, the more work you put in, or uh, which is funny because the years multiply the work too. It's like, I'm telling you guys right now, the gate, stop thinking it's gonna ping pong back to shit days. There's no more shit days. You can have a bad day, but you can't have a bad day that feels like a bad life anymore, if that makes sense. It's like some of you guys are 22, 23 years old, and you're thinking like, bro, I'm getting close to the 25 marker and nothing's happening. And it's like, dude, for me, it was the day I turned 25. Like it was literally nothing. Like I had nothing to my name, bro. Not material, not nothing. And all of it got transmuted in one stream. That's why I say what you're working on, what you're structuring is so much more important than your buddies beating you. Your buddies might beat you for 5 years in a row. And then they die. Like excuse me, knock on wood, they financially die and they never recover. And so when I look at it, I'm like, You know, no one's going to tell you this. Your parents aren't going to tell you this. Your older brother isn't going to tell you that. No, because they're going to disagree with it. But dude, the only part of life that ever feels like every single day you say, thank God I did this for myself. Thank God I didn't go like Walmart niggas. Thank God I went this path. The most important thing in life, and obviously, nobody's going to fuck with what I'm going to say, but the most important thing in life is that thing you're mastering, way more important than your children, way more important than your little hoe wife, way more important than your friends, way important, more important than everything in your life. Because one day you're going to get a phone call from one of your family members and they're going to say, I'm going to call Bob. That's you, your chat, your Bob. One day you're going to get a call from your family member and you're going to miss that call because you're broke. You're at work doing broke nigga shit. And you're going to call back and your family's going to be like, actually, nothing. It was a pocket dial. And They're not going to tell you that they have cancer because you're broke. You're a fucking loser. You can't help them for any of their treatments. At that moment, you're going to say, why was I hanging out with my buddies and not individuating at the highest level? Like loneliness is what stopped me. And that's going to be the worst day of your life that you're going to be, when it's your turn to help someone, you won't even know they called you. They're not even going to tell you. They're going to say it was a pocket dial. And you're going to be sitting there thinking like from 4,000 students in high school, only the hero would answer that call. One hero. So from you guys listening, it's probably one of you that could answer that call. That's a successful incarnation, someone who went through the gate. So out of thousands of you listening, statistically, it's only going to be one of you that answers that call. That means you're all a bunch of snakes because drinking beers was more important. That's why being successful is more important than your wife, than your kids, than your life, nigga. Being successful is the only thing you get to keep through the gate of death. Because that intensity you have to make it, that changes your structure. Your soul changes forever and you keep that shit. Then the people who incarnate around you, they say, I want to be with this guy more. This guy had my back. Being a loser means total destruction of your soul. Being a loser is the worst thing that could happen to you if you're born in the city life. Being a loser is the worst thing that can happen to you. Like especially for city guys. I get some of you farm people, I don't want to talk to you guys. I'm talking about city incarnations. Being a loser is so horrific for you. And it's crazy because there is no one you meet in life that's like a coach or, well, you graduate high school and that's it. You could have mentors. No one gives a fuck to tell you that being a loser is horrific. No one wants to go there in their feeling life because it hurts. But dude, life splits into two, man. The before the gate and after the gate. And everything after the gate, even though it requires work, it's awesome. Everything before the gate, you hate that version of yourself. If I saw my younger self on the street, the man that I love so much, I would attack him with a knife. If I saw my younger self, I would pull out a baseball bat and break his teeth for playing beer pong. If I saw my younger self, and I'm happy how things turned out, but I cannot stand someone celebrating 6 years early. No, you gotta be alone, motherfucker. You have to do that. Being being individuated in life is more important because you got to remember, oh, this is a little cruel what you're saying, Zherka. Most of the people listening are unconscious. They're going to forget about this in 5 minutes. They're going to go back to their world. Nothing happens. Only the guy getting cooked alive that suffers the most with this message, only he will go up. So if you think I'm sounding cruel, how can you be cruel to unconscious fish? They're like fish in water. Like they're just blah, 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 blah. It's not cruel. They're going to forget about it in 5 seconds. And you guys don't realize that one person going up, you know what's the most beautiful part of that one person going up? He's alone when he's up too. There's no one around him. And he immediately contacts me and goes, hey, I popped off, Zherka. I popped off. I have no friends. I haven't seen them in years. I've been on Do Not Disturb. You have to be my friend. And I always message back. Yeah, okay. That's fair. I did the same thing. I messaged as soon as I popped off, I messaged the guys that were around me that were more successful. And I'm like, I don't have friends. And they're like, okay, come with us. And that's how it works, by the way. Nobody on Twitch became friends in a way like, oh, I friend requested someone. I went to a party and the losers meet at the parties, right? The winners get cooked alive by what one nigga says, and they contact that nigga and say, 2022, you said this, and my life sucked. I have nothing for it, but I'm successful now. I'm useful. Connect with me. And a lot of people say, Zerka, you're nice to poor people. That means you connect with poor people. No, I don't. I'm nice to poor people, but I will never connect my time with them. Like, what the? You think I have conversations with poor people? What do you? I show poor people love, but I that doesn't mean I've waste my time with retards. Like, do you know a poor person is a hollow uh, reflection of society? Is just they're regurgitated. For example, last poor person I talked to, it was something about the Packers, Green Bay Packers. And I'm like, bro, football is like the gayest shit on earth. Like watching sports is the gay. Oh, Zerka, you watched every single UFC during. It was COVID. We had to. I got paid to watch that shit. You idiot. I got literally paid by Twitch to watch UFC with my chat. Do you think I actually watched every single fight? You idiot. Hell no. You watching men wrestle? You're a fucking faggot, bro. Like I didn't watch you every single UFC on my own. I've never been absorbed by even Dana White's marketing system. You can't absorb me. I'm not an idiot. Well, I'm just a fan. Dude, if you watch every single UFC or every single it just shows you're a fucking loser, man. It's just like that's the highest level of I have nothing else to do with my life. I watched every single episode of One Piece. You're a loser. Who the fuck has time for that shit? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can switch to Dragon Ball. Being a loser never ends. You can see losers at 70 years old at Walmart. Look closer in their face. They're still losers. They have that why me face. It doesn't end. It's forever. I even in the spiritual world, they're dim losers. They're unconscious, right? It's over for them. It's like, oh, can you save them? Dude, you talk to a 70-year-old guy, he checked out 20 years ago. You're talking to like a fucking zombie at that point. He checked the fuck out. A human can only live through the Christ force, which means love. A 70-year-old guy has no love for anything. That's why he's cranky. It's just like some fucking idiot walking around at that point. So when people say, "Oh, Zerka, how come you call people who watch sports losers?" Is if you look into my last house, I lived with a bunch of guys. I think we had 12 people over watching the Super Bowl and every single game. None of them did anything. Even those guys, like everyone I met in my life that watches anything religiously is like the highest level of loser in reality, you know? And so, you grow up, you start looking at the world like you're not human unless you have a career. Like straight up. If you don't have a career, you're not human to me. Like, what the fuck? 'Cause to have a career, you have to love something. To love something means to be human. Like you're using the Christ's energy. It's the only way to live on earth. Human cannot live without love. They go unconscious. They become zombies, right? That's why, like, a couple of people will glow in a nightclub, and it's usually the people who never go to the nightclub. Those guys are glowing. They're shining. They're smiling. They stay an hour and then they leave with everything. They take everything. And then the guys who are always at the club, like, dude, if you ever catch yourself always doing something, you better always be getting paid, my nigga. If you're always doing something every day, that shit better be paying you. What do you mean you're always doing something? So the last conversation I had with a poor person was about the Green Bay Packers. And I think I was looking directly at them like, if Jesus Christ was not my God, I would kill you with a knife. Like I would enjoy ending this Green Bay Packers talk. Like I don't Packers. That sounds like your ass is getting packed. Bro. That sounds homo as fuck. Like I haven't talked about the Packers since 2010. The fuck are we talking about? I don't even remember this. When I check out of the world and I go D&D mode to become a success in my life, I cut out the sports, I cut out every distraction. And you're looking at men's asses, by the way, if you're watching this shit. It's like the gayest shit you can do. But yeah, when I look at my life, I'm like, okay, so clearly I suffered the most out of 4,000 students in my high school, and it got transmuted upwards, and it's never been down again. The greatest advice, let's just get serious, man. The greatest advice I can ever give is do not think your life has to go one way or the other. The only thing that has to happen in your life is one Super Saiyan transformation where you're no longer a loser. That's it. I don't care if it takes you 7 years, like most people, 5 years. Some people, a lot of people, 35 years old, they get something going for themselves. Most people never, right? But without that transformation door, Marshall, you have no friends. Do you remember in Shutter Island when that bitch in the cave said, Marshall, you have no friends? She's right, bro. You don't have friends. You have people who smoke weed and drink beer and talk about the Green Bay Packers. And is there anything more dumb than wasting your life on anything other than success? And a lot of people are like, okay, Zherka, what about the family and kids? Honestly, bro, if I had a family and kids right now and I sleep, I swear to God, I'm not joking. And you can blame the growth. I'm sure that affects it too. But dude, I sleep 12 to 14 fucking hours like a nigger every day of my life. With maybe once a week I'm chill, but most of the times I concentrate, I get that exhausted. And when I sleep 12 hours minimum uninterrupted. And I'm telling you right now, the growth hormone also makes me sleep that much. But I'm telling you right now, if I had a wife and kid and they woke me up from that sleep, I would bite her fucking tits till milk explodes from both ends. And I would go to prison and I'd say it was worth it because that bitch woke me up from the best slumber. You know how much fucking money I make? I get to sleep that much. And I'm not lazy. I wake up and I grind again. And you don't know how many years of my life I didn't get good sleep. I deserve this shit. When I wake up, I piss and guzzle against the hotel toilet. I piss like on the hotel toilet. I piss, guzzle against the fucking metal of the toilet. Like I'm on like a prison toilet. I piss and I piss. Sometimes my piss lasts for 4 minutes straight because the growth also holds water. So in the morning you got to pee it all out. And dude, my eyes water like Homer Simpson. I'm like, dude, I'm 100,000% sober pissing this much because I slept 12 fucking hours. You you have to go to work, little boy. I'm telling you right now, man. Everything I tell you, you're gonna be married with kids, and you're gonna be like, "Why am I still listening to Zerka? Why? Oh, it's because he's actually not a group faggot soul. Like married people are a group soul with their wife. Why is Donald Trump not a group soul with Melania? Explain to me that. Because she cannot enter. When you have mastery of what you're doing, no one can enter your astral bubble. Because your thoughts, your desires, your emotions all circulate around mastery. They can't. Marla penetrated his bubble a bit because he said she became masculine working for him. So she clearly absorbed some of those astral desires and she became like him. And then he kept Melania away from his bubble. After his third, fourth, whatever the fuck marriage, his third marriage, is it third? Yeah, his third marriage went well because he went back to mastery. He said, okay, so that's what happens when you let people too close in. Now, on your downtime, you can be close with your wife, but mastery time, which is what? 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. every day is you time, right? You're not a woman who goes to the spa. It's you time, and you time is career time. Career time is mind time. Mind time is mastery time. It's evolution time. And it's never going to change. You could be 90 years old repeating this message, and you have to repeat this message. You have to, it takes like 50,000 times to hammer it into someone's head, and then they're a millionaire. How many times? Nobody knows the number. It's different for everyone. Is it? It's about the qualitative time. How much conscious energy are you putting into this? So if God gives you cosmic infinite potential, a star seed in between your heart, and you do nothing with it, Are you telling me demons didn't infiltrate you? If you did nothing with infinite, but when Da Vinci said, I wasted my whole life not doing anything with the potential I've been given, that's Leonardo da Vinci saying that. Imagine your bum ass. But if God gives you this level of cosmic potential and time to get your shit in order and you waste it, are you telling me you wasted it? Or were there demons involved? Demons of sloth, pride, demons of pride that, oh, I can't do that job. That's too hard. Blah, blah. What kind of other demons are there? Some people have this pride of, I have to start a family so I can feel prideful. And then they're broke for the rest of their lives. Like to be a dad is synonymous to being broke if you Google it on Wiki, right? Because it just kills life for you. It's fucking scary, you know? You can get boosted by moral life forces. For example, if you're around children, you can get bursts of energy from them. That is true. That's why parents have more energy to do more meaningless tasks with their kids. But you look at what the average dad is today statistically, it's going to scare you that it's not the memes on Twitter at all. Like at all. That's why if I say name one influencer who's a dad that you respect, I think the best one out there is DDG, and he's going through his vicious divorce with his with a woman he said he'll never divorce. That's embarrassing, right? And he's like the best example. He's successful. But you look at like the average guy, it's like, dude, there's a huge illusion that one day you have to play with feces. And that's what wiping an ass is, by the way. If you're wiping a child's ass, you're playing with feces. I don't give a fuck what anyone says. You can't afford a maid, you fucking broke peasant. Yeah, being poor is disgusting. You have to wipe feces. That's disgusting. What if that kid has a bit of diarrhea? Wipe that too. And all the parents laugh and say, oh, it's just normal. And it's normal to a woman. It's not normal for a man to. I asked my dad, I'm like, did you ever do that? He's like, yeah, for an emergency stuff. It's usually the woman's job, but for an emergency stuff, I'm like, Dad, that's cooked. And my dad's like, well, what do you want to do? Right? Like, emergency is emergency. I had three boys. And I'm like, Dad, that will never be me. And he's like, in a strange way, I would be disappointed if it was you, like taking care of a kid, even if it's for an hour. I'm like, why? He's like, because my dad said, you didn't come on earth to slip up even for 5 minutes with that stupid shit. Like ever since you were 5 years old, you knew exactly what the hell you want to do. You're not going to live like the rest of them, right? The day you say, "Oh well, everyone has to do this," is the day your inner flame is just it's out. 77C. Go ahead.
One thing I always relate with you, Zerka, is you talk about courage and shit, and most people are fucking like bastards. Like I don't respect them. They're spineless losers, and I don't fuck with that shit at all. So like when I see people in my actual personal life, like my family, like just become cowards or like start stealing money from people, like it just completely like disgusts me. So like for me, I have to go ahead and just put myself in situations where I can be around loyal people or at least people who are interested in making some fucking money, you know? So
Yeah, and it's gonna come to for years. I was like, where the fuck are these people? I'll just do it alone. Eventually, it was Discord niggas for me. Discord niggas really, because when you talk to Discord niggas, these guys are masters, bro. They say, "Oh, Zerka, you've been alone for 5 years, 6 years. I've been alone for 20 years." And I'm like, "Oh, you're a fucking loser, bro." But they got a shit ton of bread.
who
Like
you
they
talking to who's been in Discord for 20 years? Is that your old mentor, Dr. What's that one
Yeah.
name? Dr. Richard, whatever?
No, no, it was a God bless his soul. It wasn't him. But I'm telling you right now, the first people I met on Discord from communities, Twitch communities, stuff like that, it was like my first gate of actually doing things in a rapid way. Like these guys were like, "Hey, everything you're trying to do is in this program. I'm gonna send you the link." And I was like, "What the fuck? It's free?" And have you ever met Discord niggas who give you everything for free? You know what I mean?
I mean, like
The-
I've joined communities where like people have
yeah.
like put me on shit.
Dude, if you join 10 different communities, 10 different voice channels, and you just ask for help, they all troll you, they all call you a faggot, and then they all send you links to help you. And I'm like, why? You don't even know who I am. Why are you helping me? I was shocked because my buddies will waste my whole time and never help me. I was shocked that, dude, get into that nerdy world. Go ahead, Enos.
Yo, Zherka, you can hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, appreciate the game, bro. I wanted to ask you about thinking, willing, feeling. I'm trying to understand it. The way I understand it is like deeply meditate on what's right, will it into action, and then your emotions, passion, whatever will follow. Trying to understand that frame.
What's the question though?
No, I don't. Is that right? Like, is that the frame? I just kind of want to hear from you a little bit.
I think the easiest way to remember it is you think about something until it's alive and works in you, and then you agree or disagree with your heart, your feeling, right? So it goes from your head to your heart, and then you say, I like it or I dislike it, sympathy or antipathy. And then after you say yes or no, whether it's yes or no, you do it. So if it's no, you don't will anything into action. If it's yes, you go grab that sword, right? But it all stems from the top down, although they have to be in balance. The problem most people have is there's a lot of action oriented people who are just, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, and then they get burnt
Hmm.
out. And then all you have to do is sit down. I've sat down with so many millionaires. I'd be like, okay, instead of doing 100 things at a time, what's that first thing we really have to do? And I talk to him about it for 5 hours. That means we think about it and build concepts and concepts like a spider web, right? We build concepts over that first thing, and they always calm down and achieve what they're trying to do because they go, oh, I just need to put more thought into it. I need to go further in the thinking. I'm like, yeah, you made your millions because you're action oriented, but it's harming you now. Like you have to go to the next level, bro. And for other people, it's different. Some guys can think all day and they never take action. And then, yeah, as soon as I identify that kind of person, I say, dude, you have to make that channel right now because it's been years. Like you clearly are fucking way too in your head about this. And then it's so simple. It's like as soon as the soul is balanced, they know what they have to do.
Yeah, and I feel like when you just keep thinking about stuff and then you put it into action and then you take that one step and you fail, now you put all that fucking emotion behind it. You led with
Yeah.
your feeling and it
Yeah.
just comes in crashing.
That's why it's so important to be in teams, like even 3-man cells. Because, dude, when you're alone, you could think about something for 3 years and then you're fucked. But when you're with the, like, I used to have ideas and then the team around me would be like, okay, activate it. And I'd be like, okay. But when I'm alone, I could fester into, I can easily start thinking about something for a long fucking time. And it's bad. Most people never finish writing a book like that. Ritual is important. Don't get this wrong. Ritual is important. However, the hard part is really everything you do outside of the church. Because remember, in scripture, it says that prayer becomes an all day thing. When you're at the top, highest level, prayer is not just ritual, it's not just contemplative or meditative, it is all day. That means when someone pisses you off and you show love to them, you're sustaining the prayer, which is you don't know how intense of a your inward soul, you don't know how intense it's going to get for you as you're transforming when you realize prayer is all day. I even try and make my whole streams sound like a prayer, the whole the spaces. I try and keep that intensity because if I stick to it for long enough, it becomes natural structure in my system,